Welcome to episode 2 of my podcast, This Thing Called. Join me, I'm your host KJ, and we're going to go ahead and dive into our topics, headlines. First topic I'm going to cover for me is rather serious. Personally, I do not like covering this topic and giving it more energy than what people choose to give it. However, I am going to use this time to say exactly what I need to say, and then that's all I'm going to say on it. Kanye West. When it comes to Kanye West, I truly pray for this man every single day. From his mental health to his emotional being to his physical being to his mental being. I truly wish him all of the best, and I pray that God covers him in the people that he's around, covers him in the atmospheres that he walks into, just really help protect him. I personally loved Kanye West when he was young Kanye, when he was thriving, when he was rapping about real problems and real issues in the Black communities and really trying to speak a voice and have a platform for those social issues that we had going on and even still have going on. There are several songs, several verses, several words that he has spoken to empower the Black community. However, since his mother has passed in 2007, I believe, which understandably so, was the turning point into the Kanye we see today. After that, he tended to make decisions that, even though we might not agree with it, he has his own life. He is a grown man. He can make those decisions based on his life. However, as of today, I feel like a lot of those decisions has affected his mental health, affected his emotional, his physical being, to the point to where we see Kanye making now White Lives Matter t-shirts and trying to do publicity stunts and, just in such a defensive mode to where I feel like now he feels so defensive about all of the obstacles he's had to face and overcome. Even since his mom's passing, that he feels so alone. He is always defensive. He always feels like he has to defend himself and always has to prove himself. In which case, Kanye, be your authentic self. We know who you are. We know who you truly want to be. And if you need help, please seek help. Because as a Black community, I do believe that we need to take mental health and therapy more seriously. However, Kanye, there are just some things that you shouldn't do. And making a White Lives Matter t-shirt is just one thing I don't think you should ever do. Not when you have wrote some of the words and spoke some of the verses that have changed my life and my output on the Black communities and how we are treated in this nation, in this world. I'm going to move on to another topic because, again, that's all I have to say about him, and he's just someone that all I can do is pray for him and just pray that God keeps his hand on him and protects him. I was reading an article where, out in California, there was a 20-year-old boy, man, whatever you want to call him, that pled guilty. He pled guilty to manufacturing guns and selling them on Snapchat. Now, to dive into the story, this 20-year-old boy could not legally buy guns in the state of California. So he chose to buy ghost gun kits from out-of-state manufacturer. If you don't know what a ghost gun kit is, that is a privately owned, unserialized weapon that the kit comes with, if not all of the tools and pieces you need to manufacture and make a gun. You only have to go buy a couple of pieces and you can manufacture and make that gun in which the kit that you bought it in. So this 20-year-old boy decided to buy these ghost gun kits, manufacture the weapons themselves, and then sell them on Snapchat. This issue has been a growing issue in our nation. And I'm sad to say that until I read this article, I did not know how much of an issue it was. From 2016 to 2021, the Department of Justice, DOJ, has had law enforcement agencies throughout the nation provide them with 45,000 weapons that have been made from these ghost gun kits. weapons that are not serialized, and therefore law enforcement has an issue with trying to track them and close certain cases involving those type of weapons. The Biden administration and DOJ in August of 2022 has established a new federal rule, definition of frame or receiver, and identifications of firearms. This new rule not only clarifies what parts of a weapon need to have serial numbers, it also mandates for background checks to be run on these new homemade kits and forces gun retailers to have records kept longer than before. I believe that this is important, especially when gun control and gun violence is a major issue in our nation. I believe this is an important step to try to help these ghost gun kits become less of an issue. I believe this new rule is important, not only because gun violence and safety is the number one issue in our nation, but it also allows law enforcement the tools needed to close some of these open cases. Now, to bring it more home on a local level, Detroit City Council has approved an additional $7 million to an already approved $1.5 million contract for new technology called Shot Spotters. This new technology is technology that the city believes will help curb the crime here in Detroit. Now, if you don't know what a spot shotter is, what it is, it's a device that is located on a pole. This device registers any gunshot that is heard, automatically and immediately reports it to the police, so police are able to respond to the alert that they received, not needing a 911 call to report the gunshots. There are two currently located in the city of Detroit, one on the east side, one on the west side. Just recently, there was an incident in Detroit in September of 2022 where there were gunshots that were heard and fired at a Project Green Light station, where there was also a spot shotter nearby. The spot shotter alerted the police in that area to the gunshots, where the police were able to respond to that Project Green Light gas station. They were able to pull the video surveillance from the gas station, thus being able to identify victims, and they also had other drugs and narcotics with them as well. I pray for the individuals involved, as I hope that they do learn that just shooting in the air, whether you're shooting at somebody or not, is not safe and okay. And gun violence is a real thing that we do need to continue to talk about in our nation in order to protect our kids, in order to protect each other, in order to protect ourselves. I want to thank you for joining me on episode 2. It was serious topics that we talked about and none of them light. However, episode 3 will be so much better. Thank you again for joining me. I'm KJ, and I'll see you next week.